Here it is, Evil Geniuses, HuK.
All right, and his opponent down at the 6 o'clock position, this time decidedly less talkative. That is our pink Zerg player, Millennium Stephano.
Well, you know, we learned a lot about the players in the first game, a lot about their like beliefs and their feelings and things like that. But this time, we're getting hardcore, man. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're just gonna play StarCraft 2, no chatting. We're just gonna play a game. Well, we're not gonna play a game. We're gonna cast a game, but they're gonna play a game, which we will
I'll
watch
play a game
and talk about. We can play later.
Oh, okay.
Show match sometime.
Super Street Fighter.
It'd be TVT. Oh yeah, Street Fighter, dude. I've been playing a lot of that lately.
All right, here we go. So we have a pylon coming down to the front for HuK. This is the same way he had opened the last game, so not changing up his strategies at all. And here we have it as Stephano spawning down here at the 6 o'clock position. We'll see how quick he decides to expand. It looks like HuK is looking to take advantage of that little bit wider choke point going into the natural.
Look at that supply depot back at HuK space for a second. Look at that next to the pylon. Isn't that the cutest thing you've ever seen? Supply depots and pylons living together in harmony. Look at that. They're just kind of buddy there, hanging out. That's cute. That's what I like to see. But now when they stop turning. Okay, there we go. We want the pylons to keep turning.
HuK was about to start dancing again. I love how he starts that every time.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Stephano throwing down spawning pool on 16. So looks like he's going to open the same way he did last game. So you said supply depots. You were calling my attention to supply depots. I blame you, Doa.
I'm sorry.
I'm not jet lagged, so I don't have any sort of an excuse.
That's true. I can just say the dumbest things. I can be like, I think he's gonna 6 pool, and then be like, oh no, I'm sorry, he's actually got like 16 drones in the pool. I'm jet lagged.
We do have expansion already coming out of
Yeah.
We already do have an expansion coming out of HuK, quick Nexus, and we'll see how or what he's going to use to go ahead and build in this wall forge first. Maybe a gateway right here, and then probably a photon cannon just tucked in the back.
Very annoying HuK probe down at the natural, preventing that hatchery from going down for quite a while, actually. Oh, there he finally gets it down. Probe lost focus for just a second. That's all it takes. Yeah. You know, as a Terran player, I've always been tempted on maps like this to kill the supply depot outside my opponent's base, then build my own there and start raising and lowering it just to mess with them.
Be like, just doing supply depot push-ups right away.
Yeah.
Here for HuK, though, just forge up at the front is not dedicated the minerals required for a gateway quite yet. Looks like he is okay with what he has to offer for the time being. There we go, photon cannon number 1 appearing in the back of the mineral line. That'll keep him defended against any sort of early Zergling pressure.
2 gas as well, so he'll be able to start getting that gas up for sentries or whatever he'd like to do. Could be a void ray opening as well. We used to see that very, very commonly after Forge expands. Not so much really anymore, but aside from MC, he's the one who's kind of still doing that quite a bit. But
it could happen. I mean, this is double gas before Gateway, it even come up or anything like that. So yeah. I think we are going to see something very, very tech intensive.
Oh, we're going to see something proxied, I think. There's a probe. Right over there, hiding the gas. That spot that probe is actually in, you can even go into that little area surrounded by the gas and not see the probe there.
Yes, indeed.
That's a really nice little hiding spot. So I think we're going to see some proxy stuff, possibly a starport, or you could want to maybe hide a Twilight Council in a Dark Shrine too. That's a possibility.
No pylon down quite yet. We'll see one here in a bit. Second photon cannon being added to the mix. As that Zergling's not going to be able to take down that pylon quite in time, although it will do quite a bit of damage. Yeah. Stephano, on the other hand, not showing any sort of tech options quite yet. He actually pulled himself off the gas whenever he had enough up for speed, and he's just been droning up after that.
HuK is just leaving me in suspense right now. I want to know why that probe is there. I'm about ready to run over to his booth and bang on and be like, hey,
Probe Watch 2011.
Probe. And maybe he'll
it's moving away now.
It's moving away. Oh.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm just sad. Oh, there's a pylon, though.
Hooray!
So
Huzzah!
That's in more of like a warp-in position. I don't think we're going to see any forward buildings or proxy buildings or anything like that with that. Oh, well.
Would be fun, though. We have a third hatchery coming out of Stephano down at the bottom right-hand corner, so everything looking pretty similar to what he did last time. Added the gas and got speed a little bit quicker this time around, but no real differences quite yet. HuK, on the other hand, has warp gate technology coming out, and he's actually producing sentries behind this. So he's utilizing a little bit of that gas, but we haven't seen, I mean, he's got plenty of gas saved up. Clearly, we're going to see tech, but what is it going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. HuK again keeping us in suspense. Oh, there's a Twilight Council.
Is it proxied, hidden in any way, shape, or form? Nope, just coming up behind the mineral line.
Dark Templar sense is tingling. That's like Spider Sense, only much less useful. You can only use it in very specific situations.
Another pylon down here at the bottom right, though.
Now, DTs in PvZ. It's been an interesting thing lately because, like we see right now, Stephano is getting that early Evo chamber without really even seeing anything that HuK is doing too much, and a lot of Zergs just started doing this. So like, it's not a big investment to get an Evo chamber and a couple Spore Crawlers, and I can get some +1 going.
I mean, like we were saying before, this is virtually the same build we saw last time, and if HuK was able to take a look at that and know what was coming his way, he would know that layer tech is going to be in place for Overseers, that everything was going to be in position to go ahead and stop DTs. Dark Shrine is still coming up, though.
Dark Shrine and 4 more gateways put down by EG HuK. So we will be putting on some pressure with the DTs.
Right.
Depends on if there are Spore Crawlers out for Stephano. He hasn't put any down yet. He is making his lair too. His lair is just about finishing, so he's going to be okay as far as spotting these DTs do, most likely. But it will kind of keep him near his base for a little while.
Right. Absolutely. We do have a bunch of gateways being added, though, so HuK's certainly going to be able to follow this up with a very powerful gateway timing attack.
Certainly did find that pylon. One of them, though.
Yes, indeed.
Still another one at the 9 o'clock base, so still going to be able to warp some things in.
It's really, really nice, though, when you can spread those DTs out right away and then just immediately get them on 2 different bases, because even if you have detection in place, it's so annoying nonetheless. We do have, let's see here, Spore Crawlers coming up behind the 3rd. That's the only detection that's arriving at the moment, though.
Yeah, well, now that Overseers are a lot less expensive, I think we're going to see Zerg players make less of that early investment if they don't see any Stargate units by just kind of skipping the Spore Crawlers and spending 50 minerals and 50 gas on the Overseer instead.
Yeah, very true.
I think that's a good way to do things.
We do already have a 3rd base coming out of HuK as well, so this is going to be scouted, though. We'll find out. 2 DTs. The 3rd one is actually spotted by the Roaches, so we'll see how well Stephano prepares for this. At the same time, those Zerglings are counterattacking. They are going to take down the 3rd base for HuK.
Yep, he's going to need to cancel that more than likely, but DT's getting in everywhere. One Overseer being morphed here. Looks like HuK's going to go after the Queens. Nice move by HuK, but no, he's going to try to go after the lair now instead. And DT's kill lairs pretty fast. There we go.
And looks like the DT's actually not getting surrounded by the drones, or at least initially, so they do manage to swing themselves a few kills. But was that worth the investment at the moment, especially as we have a bunch of Roaches that are making their way up to the top left-hand corner. HuK, though, with pretty good force field control, is going to be able to drive those all away.
HuK's going to be safe, but he's going to have a hard time taking a 3rd at this point. See what he plans on doing with that. But the DTs, again, didn't do a lot of damage. This is kind of what I was mentioning earlier, where it's more for kind of doing a little bit more map control, trying to deny future expansions from the Zerg rather than doing damage right there.
They're still super useful as we move later into the game. Just send 1 to each base, and even if you have defenses in place, like I said, you're still forced to split your entire army up.
Well, we've been seeing people use come up with different ways to use the Dark Templar, dropping them out of warp prisons to snipe bases. Like, actually 3 or 4 DTs kill lairs so quickly. We've seen that a couple times in the GSL. HuK actually famously beating Nest-T, due in part to a lot of DTs getting in the base and killing his lair as well. So
here we have it. Stephano on 4 base, though, and his macro is actually going to be very, very good once again. He's putting into place, let's see, this pneumatized carapace that's coming up, so we aren't going to have speed for those Overlords and Overseers. No Ventral Sacks quite yet. We'll see if that gets added into the mix here in a bit.
Yeah, we could see it. I'd love to see some drop play. Zergs have kind of played around with it, but no one's really developed a kind of a standard drop style for Zergs to follow yet. So I think that's why we kind of don't see it quite as often. DT being a little bit annoying.
Yeah, gonna get cleared up without taking a kill, though. And we do have a bunch more gateways being added to the mix for HuK down to the bottom left-hand corner. Photon cannons behind. Nice and symmetrical. Very, very even there out of HuK. And Stephano's gonna push his way up with a good number of Roaches, but admittedly, HuK is in a pretty decent defensive position at the moment, especially behind those Photon cannons.
Yeah, he's certainly safe at his natural. His ramp, like you mentioned, at his 3rd is pretty good. The gateways are finishing just now, but he's going to need to pull some units to defend with this. And Stephano might just break right through this pylon here. He does. Oh, good force fields from HuK, though. Trapping those Zerglings, he's going to be just fine.
Yep, certainly, but he's still down by quite a bit of supply at the moment. We'll see with this 3rd base in mining and the fact that it hasn't come under too much pressure quite yet if he's able to macro his way into an advantage, but Stephano is going to all-out attack.
Is he going to go for it?
By a lot of Stalkers, however. A few Zerglings are swinging their way into the main. However, we have a few Zealots ready. Stargate is up as well, and that's going to be revealed now.
Yeah, Stephano looked like he was kind of hesitant. He looked like he wanted to just try to duck into the main and do damage there, but that hesitation cost him his whole army, losing everything there, so it's going to give a little bit of an army advantage to HuK right at this point. But 22 roaches on the way, so it's only a lead of seconds, really.
Yes, absolutely. And Stephano moving up to that 5th base at the moment. Void Ray number 1 is being added to the mix now. So he is going to move to a pretty powerful composition that's going to do well against roaches and zerglings, but that's a very heavy tech investment at the moment when we see a massive amount of units coming out of Stephano.
I am just so impressed with Stephano's play. I mean, being that I'm mostly involved in the Korean scene, I try to keep as up-to-date on a lot of the Western players as I can, but Stephano's kind of been under my radar, so seeing him play here, he's really impressing me. I mean, this guy needs to come to Korea, man.
Yeah, he's already up 1-0 on a Codes player, and you know what? He's got another one coming up after this as well in GSL Alive.
That's very, very true. He is playing against the GSL Codes player right now in EG HuK. And HuK, you know, I mean, he's one of the only ProDOS players left in Codes at this point, too. So
yeah, certainly.
It says a lot about his skill, I would say. It's very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Bunch of gates up for HuK, though. It doesn't look like he has any intention of going to a 3rd with the Stargate play intact. He's just going to mass up as big of an army as he can and start to try and deny economy. And wow, look at that. Actually, 2nd Stargate being added to the mix.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he is also getting ship weapons level 1 as well. Yeah. So going to be moving in with some pretty heavy Void Ways. I'm like suddenly casting like Elmer Fudd.
Wascally Wabbit.
Those Void Ways are powerful.
All right. Stephano going to make his way up here in a second. And you know what? There's really not a lot here for HuK. He's remaining on this defensive position for quite a while. He's going to try and produce as many Void Rays as he can. His 2 are already queued up over on the right-hand side, but they're going to need to be sent back to go ahead and help defend here as Stephano's starting to position his way out with Infestors behind this as well.
Yeah, I mean, oh no, look, a couple Stalkers being caught out of position as well. From HuK, he's going to have a bit of a hard time defending against this, possibly. I mean, he's going to have to micro Stalkers just brilliantly, I think. Here we go. Really, really good force fields, actually, preventing those roaches from coming through in one big group. And Stephano, you can see, he knows it right away. He needs to pull back.
Yeah, 3 Void Rays now sitting over there, 2 being produced at a time, +1 weapons going to finish up here momentarily as well. So if this goes untapped, HuK is actually going to have a very, very powerful Air Force here in a little bit. In addition, we have Spire being added, but that's not going to be done for a long time.
I think those Overlords may have gained vision of the Void Rays for just a moment. But when they finally get revealed, which it looks like HuK is going to right now, Stephano's going to really need to scramble to handle these. He does not have a lot of anti-air. Only a couple Spore Crawlers more being put down right now. They're going to be focused down very, very easily. And HuK could do some damage with this.
Yeah, Queens are falling as well. There are a ton of Spine Crawlers coming up, so Stephano actually going back into that massive Spine Crawler phase as well. We do have Infestors spitting up a bunch of infested Terrans. As Frank
nice fungal as well.
Oh, man, and looks like he's going to neutralize the vast majority of those Void Rays. Only 1 remaining, and they've really only taken out a couple of Spore Crawlers and a Queen.
Stephano, he handled that beautifully. Yeah, give a round of applause for that. That was awesome. Look at that. The last 2 Void Rays taken down by those infested Terrans.
Impressive.
He even like fungled one of those Void Rays and let a Spore Crawler kill it too.
Here comes HuK, though.
It's good. Yeah, HuK attacking now with all his Blink Stalkers. Stephano, though, he still does have that maxed army supply advantage. Not a lot of fungals for those Infestors because he had to use so much energy on those infested Terrans, so that could make a bit of a difference. Have to see if HuK follows through with the attack, though.
Both players are banking resources at the same time. Man, so many Infestors being added to the mix. Greater Spire coming up, and as soon as this army would go down, he would have plenty of resources to go right into Corruptors and then Broodlords after that. Looks like Stephano going to start trying to trade armies, making his way out, but a great concave already for HuK, sitting some units on the high ground as well. Took out most of the Zergling cover. Beautiful blink back as well. The fungal growth not really doing too much. The roaches are forced to burrow away, and those Void Rays move.
The Void Rays. Micah taking out. 1 goes down. The second one does as well. The Void Rays have done nothing for HuK. They have been all handled so well by Stephano. Wow, look at that, leaving a Zergling buried there just to kind of keep vision on that area of the map. It's so good. I love the little things like that. It's the little things in life.
Are very pesky.
You're never going to let me forget that,
Nope,
are you?
never. Nope, it's done.
Sure. You're seeing that on Reddit tomorrow.
We're going to be 80 years old and I'm still doing it.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Now I have something to look forward to when I'm 80 years old.
Bam. StarCraft retirement. So here we go. Stephano going to make his way out. He's got a lot of Infestors in the mix. Let's see. Actually, take a look. No Corruptors on the field quite yet. And he is maxed once again. Oh, there we go. No, there's the 12 Corruptors coming up just as I say that. So we are going to have a huge amount of Broodlords here pretty soon. Well, this is Void Ray coming out to deny the gold, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah, I'll have to see if Stephano can handle it. Probably will. He's been doing a good job so far. Yeah, just tossing out a couple infested Terrans to chase away the Void Rays. Stephano right now is playing very, very very good standard late game ZVP on this map. What you see a lot of Zerg players do is get all those spine crawlers on the one side to make sure that they can kind of restrict the attack paths by the Protoss.
That is my favorite building in the entire game, Dill. I'm sorry.
One?
You were brilliant analysis, but there's a fleet beacon being built.
There is a fleet beacon on the way.
Carrier mothership for HuK here in a second.
You know, carriers can be pretty good if you have time to get them out. HuK's on 4 bases, too.
Useful skill to a have.
That's
and
right.
3 Void Rays making their way in. This Queen is going to fall momentarily. No anti-air being brought over quite yet. There we go. The Corruptors are now finally in position. The Void Rays are going to fall.
Oh, this is going to be so interesting. If HuK does decide to go for carriers, I would love to see that. I mean, Mothership did just get that buff. You know, it got the acceleration buff. But carriers are pretty cool, too.
Big engagement here in the middle. Stephano committing quite a few roaches. We'll see if he's actually just freeing up a little bit of supply now. There we go. Burrowing back under, forcing the units for HuK to come back. But HuK actually didn't take many losses and killed quite a few units there.
Well, here's the thing, is that HuK doesn't really have many observers out on the map anywhere. So Burrow is quite effective at keeping units safe, at making HuK kind of move back, get a little bit out of position, allows Stephano to, you know, counterattack and pick off a couple of units here and there.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty good. But we are like, we're almost split map here. I mean, if HuK takes the gold, we're going to be split map, man.
Yeah, Stephano is
awesome.
actually, super long macro game. Cheer it up for that.
I love it, man. I'm happy.
Oh, yeah. I want these guys to go the distance. But we have 11 Broodlords just popped up. Another 7 Corruptors were under production as well. And Stephano has a ton of resources banked. So he's going to be able to make a strong siege push behind Spine Crawlers in addition to all these Broodlords.
Yeah, well, Infestors plus Spine Crawlers equals a bad day for Stalkers and pretty much any Protoss unit right now. Although carriers don't really worry about Spine Crawlers too much. They're okay with it.
But it's a mothership that's coming up for HuK.
So it is.
Let's go ahead and take a look. What base is it? Oh, wow. Broodlords are actually starting to lay siege to the warp gates. We'll take a look at that first before we find out what base is it that's creating. There it is. There's the mothership.
Yeah, I don't know how much of a difference this mothership is really going to make, too. I mean, Stephano's going to be having plenty of overseers out. He's not going to have a problem seeing the things that the mothership is cloaking. And look at this. HuK's main is in huge trouble right now. Those Broodlords doing a ton of damage to that.
Yeah, it looks like HuK is just going to let this go for the time being. He's going to get out a couple more Void Rays and then start to defend behind that, but he's waiting until the mothership shows up before he actually decides to attack.
Stephano is so smart, man. He's not over-committing with those Broodlords too much. He knows that there are Blink Stalkers and Void Rays along. He wants to keep those Broodlords next to the Infestors to keep them safe. Stephano's just awesome.
Broodlords are
right now.
I
love watching this guy play now.
Yeah, exactly. You really need to check out more of this guy because he is an amazing player. And he's, like we said, you know, he handily went through game number 1 against a Kodesh. Protoss coming back from a very, very bad situation. And in game number 2, he is certainly holding his own. We have a bunch of roaches making their way to the left-hand side. Oh, and they do spot the mothership, which is now out on the field.
Cloaked cannons. They're so strong.
Here we go. Looks like the final engagement is going to be forced. That's a lot of Void Rays that are out. And the Infestors are actually grouped up. They throw down a couple of Fungals, but they don't get the vast majority of the forces. Blink Stalkers making their way in as well.
HuK really wants those Void Rays to be killing the Broodlords, but it's just not happening. HuK blinking ahead, trying to do some damage to the Broodlords, but many Fungals from Stephano.
Yeah, but he neutralized those Infestors really, really well. There's actually not a ton left over.
Wow,
HuK is actually going to clear that up.
Man, and no Overseers anywhere for Stephano around. So those cloaked units are staying cloaked. And look at that, HuK taking down the army of Stephano.
Yes, but Stephano had so many resources banked that he's already remaxed 74 Zerglings, 11 more Corruptors coming up as well. So the mothership for HuK not going to last too much longer. We still do have that amazing Spinecrawler control as well. So Stephano doing a very nice job of keeping his side of the base or of the map defended.
Yeah, HuK's got to be very, very careful about being aggressive here. There's a lot of Spinecrawlers to push through. If he can harass that gold, though, that'll be quite helpful. Looks like that's what he's trying to do.
Absolutely, keeping those units cloaked, but of course they will still be susceptible to fungal growth. Actually, pretty good control from Stephano with these Corruptors. Doesn't want to overcommit them, but he is going to swing in with a bunch of Zerglings. Will he catch these Stalkers out of position? No.
Oh,
but
the Corruptors might get the mothership.
Oh, no.
Oh, the Vortex misses a lot of the Corruptors as well. The mothership shields are down. Oh, the Roach is jumping in there as well. Stalker thinking about it, he's like, there's a lot of Roaches in there. I don't want to jump in there. Yeah.
do that. Mothership will start to recharge its shields very, very quickly, though. There are a ton of Void Rays coming up, 3 actually at a time.
Wow.
Stephano going to swing back in now with a bunch of links and start laying siege to these warp gates. Will HuK come back in? Yes, he is. How much damage is he going to do to the Corruptors, though, as those Corruptors are picking away at the Mothership, and it falls?
Oh, there goes the Mothership for HuK. But, you know, the armies of Stephano is a little bit split up, but he's killing so many probes at the third base. And, yeah, again, though, Stephano, despite taking out a lot of probes at the third base, getting absolutely owned again by EG HuK.
Yep, and actually the armies are pretty even between the two players. Of course, Stephano still has a ton more banked resources. Those Zerglings that are running through the main are still doing quite a bit of damage. There are some Void Rays that are continuing to be flooded into the mix, though.
Look right there, down in the bottom, that pink spot right there above the gold, above Stephano's gold. There's a queen just in the middle of nowhere. Keep going up. Keep going up. Queen.
I've lost.
It's too late now. It's dead.
Okay.
There it goes. I don't know what that queen was doing. She was like Rambo Queen. She's like, I'm going to take on HuK by myself.
Best use of
she even had like
ever.
a low voice like that, too.
Wow, 17 Corruptors coming up at the same time. We have Adrenal Glands being added into the mix as well, so... All right, here we go.
This is a great late-game PvZ. Both of these guys are so good. It's actually one of the best PvZs I've seen in a long time, honestly.
It really is. And these Corruptors are making their way out, and the Void Rays are falling down very, very quickly, actually being flanked on two sides by those, and the Stalkers are actually taking a ton of damage from the Zerglings. The support units for HuK are sitting at the back. They weren't able to get in. Those Zealots weren't providing the Stalkers a good bit of control, but he still has enough units to be able to push his way through. The Corruptors are now sitting as dead weight at the moment, and HuK is going to take down the gold.
He is coming back. HuK is going to make possibly what could be a huge comeback in this Zerg versus Protoss right now. You know, I think Stephano may have made a mistake in overmaking Corruptors a little bit here.
Yeah, because he's out of his banked resources now, so it's not like he's going to be adding a whole lot to the mix at the moment, and HuK is still on as many bases as Stephano is. Stephano has not been able to extend his will over to the other side, so HuK, he's, granted, still down by 70 supply at the moment. Yes, I understand
overcommitted a little bit, too, with those Stalkers as well. Lost a great amount of those.
Yes. But, you know, he certainly has the economy to try and back up a recovery at the moment. Actually, how many workers? 56 workers, so not down too many at the moment.
A lot of Zealots being warped in as well. Couple Immortals. And Stephano's going to try to focus down this gold, corrupting all the Stalkers to make them take that extra 20% damage. But the Roaches kiting the Zealots here. And, you know, the Stalkers and Immortals aren't really engaging too much. Looks like the Immortals are.
Corruptors. Yeah, and that's actually Stephano's freeing up supply. He's just replacing this with pure Lings.
Could be, yeah, and pure Ling is going to work quite well against this. He's going to make some Roaches as well, I would imagine, too, but making a lot of Zerglings. But Stephano's starting to run very low on resources. That's the big story right now in this game, is that Stephano really only has about 1.5 mining bases. His saturation actually isn't that great on his 4th and 5th bases here.
Yeah, HuK. Oh, wow, blinking into a lot of units. Don't know if that is a mistake, because these Zerglings are cleaning up the ones that are running around the low ground. HuK bounces back, didn't take too many kills.
We're at that point in the game where both players, like, they see those little advantages and they're like, oh, I can try to win right now, but then they overcommit a little bit. Then they have to fall back. Very, very back and forth game right now.
Yes, indeed. And HuK's really only down by about 30 supply at the moment, and both players were running through all of their banked up resources, as we mentioned before. Yet another Mothership coming up, of course.
All right, Mothership number 2.
Yes. Mothership always gets a round of applause from the crowd.
It's a cool unit, man.
Are going to go ahead and lay siege to this gold expansion. That should be cleared up here in a bit, especially as we have 3 Void Rays being added to the mix as well.
So I almost wonder, you know, if HuK did do that switch over to carriers. Obviously, the thing with carriers is they build so slowly that it's very, very difficult
and you have to make interceptors
and
invest in those as well.
That's true, too. So, you know, despite their effectiveness, it's tough to kind of get them out in a situation like that, I guess. But
you know, Stephano doesn't have many resources down on his bottom base. But
I just said that about the carriers, but look at the production tab.
We have a carrier.
There's a carrier on the way. Now we know this is officially an awesome game.
Anyway,
yes, it will arrive soon.
There we are. But let's see here. So HuK actually has a few more resources over at his 3rd. Looks like Stephano getting a little bit or getting lower.
You made me hungry.
Shut up. I want Reese's now. Anyway, HuK has a good number of units sitting in the middle of the map. He is still continuing to reinforce as well. All Stargate units at the moment, just pumping all of his resources into those. Really needs to be able to establish this gold and make sure that it mines for a significant period of time, though, as that's what Stephano has been doing so effectively, is denying the mining here over and over again.
Now, I have seen ZVPs on this map kind of turn into this huge late game, huge amount of Corruptors and Broodlords versus huge amounts of Void Rays. But carriers are something a little bit new. You don't see him very often. He's only making one. He's still mostly making Void Rays as well.
Testing the waters, seeing if it's going to work out for him. I like it. But here we go. The Mothership is in town now, and it's going to cloak many of the Void Rays, and it'll absorb the damage while the Void Rays are actually able to take out the Corruptors. Do those Infestors have Neural Parasite? No, they do not have Neural Parasite. It is just starting to be researched, actually.
Yep. There we go. Could see a neural parasited mothership. It's always awesome when the Zerg manages to neural a mothership. Yep. Vortex the Protoss army and like kill a base or something and then move away. You see those moves every once in a while.
Those Broodlings are super strong at the moment. Yeah. Just a couple of Broodling strikes coming down and taking out an Assimilator. So we have quite the game on our hands, Doa.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Look at this. Let's do a quick unit count right now. We've got 9 Void Rays out right now, 1 carrier, 1 mothership, 8 interceptors as well.
Yeah, not to mention the great charge lot coverage that's down there as well. The 17 charge lots are still on the ground. Another carrier actually making its way out at the moment. Yeah. Looks like just a big tug of war being played in the middle of the map.
And Stephano knows about the carriers now, but there's not really anything he needs to change about what he does. I mean, Corruptors do okay against carriers as well, but it's going to be something new to kind of deal with. He's going to be much more positional now.
Those Corruptors actually don't have any armor upgrades either. Those Void Rays are on 3-3 at the moment, so those Corruptors actually died very quickly to those Void Rays.
Yeah, the upgrades advantage is huge. 2 shields as far as the upgrades as well for HuK's units. Yeah. So HuK is going to move into a very, very strong air late game. 3 more carriers on the way. Wow.
Here we go. Looks like he's just going to push ahead here, allowing that Mothership to take the brunt of the Corruptor damage while he focused down a ton of Corruptors right away.
I love how careful HuK is being right now, not getting too aggressive, saying, all right, you can go ahead and mine. I've got enough to keep my gold base safe right now, so I'm just going to play it safe, make sure I get the appropriate amount of carriers and Void Rays out, then I'm going to push. So, fungal on everything, though.
Beautiful fungal growth. Let's see if he can chain fungal those over and over again. He gets a few more units, and the mothership is about to fall.
Oh, he gets the mothership and a good amount of Void Rays as well.
All right, but there's still carriers in the mix now and super upgraded carriers. Oh my God.
Speed lots as well. That's going to be quite good against the Zerglings and Roaches. It's harder for the Roaches to kite speed lots than it is to do anything else. The Corruptor's getting a little bit overzealous there.
Oh, hallucinated Void Rays, but this isn't Idris, so we may not leave quite yet.
You went there. I can't believe it. Oh,
had to do it. Neural Parasite taking over a ton of units, though.
Wow, and Stephano is actually going to crush this army. Really, really great control by Stephano there.
Yeah, those carriers have not really kicked in quite yet, so they're not as effective as he wants them to be. The Corruptors were still picking away interceptors as well, and there are a huge amount of Roaches, and then these Infestors that are still sitting behind, offering great fungals. However, the carrier wall has established a monster amount of infested Terrans coming down, though.
Yeah, the infested Terrans are going to be great against the carriers. It's just like Marines against carriers. They kill all the Interfestors. Interfestors.
Good. No, I like it.
New unit, Heart of the Swarm. Sorry, spoiler.
Wow. Yeah, those carriers are dying so quickly. HuK is now down to just 50 supply, and it looks like Stephano made 2-0. The Code S player Evil Genius is HuK.
I think we are about to see just that right now.
This was an amazing, amazing game played. I really thought that HuK was able to battle himself back into this, but after that very decisive engagement and brilliant fungal growth control.
Well, the Infestors really make the difference. Yeah, I mean, fungaling all the units that HuK had, even neural parasiting some hallucinated Void Rays. That's okay, though, because you're doing so much damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go. Stephano coming in for the killer blow. Just a few zealots being produced for HuK, but that is not going to be enough. These Zerglings are very upgraded. They're going to take out these buildings very quickly.
I can't believe it. I mean, HuK played so well in this series. Such a good ZVP, but Stephano is going to come out with the win here. Look at that. And as the natural gets taken out, HuK maybe just taking a moment to compose himself here. Goodbye, Fleet Beacon. It's been fun. Thanks for stopping by.
There's a DT, though. The ultimate catch-up for the Protoss player.
Well, I mean, you can try those DTs to do a little bit of late-game damage, but I think it's just too much at the moment.
Yep. But HuK sticking in this as long as he can. It looks like he's making his final stand right here. Corruption going down on all those units. Zergling's going to flank behind. Even a few drones being sent up to attack because why not?
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of gateway units really for HuK at this point. You just can't produce them fast enough. Too many Zerglings and Roaches coming in from Stephano and HuK, despite an amazing comeback, some great play. I think we're going to see GG pretty soon.
Yeah, it looks like 3 more sentries are being added to the mix, but the Roaches are starting to go through the photon cannons as well. No real production at the moment.
A Manor Hatchery on the way here. Oh, it was there for a second. Looks like it. got canceled. But
nope, there it is. There's another one.
Hatchery,
Yep, it's under fire from the photon cannon. That's why.
Hatcheries.
A second Mannered hatchery.
Hatcheries. Oh, he even cancels it to save himself the resources. That's good multitasking. Wow.
But yeah, Stephano is going to clean up the rest of these units. Just a token amount of mining being done here by HuK, and he is down under 50 supply at the moment.
Yep. Still trying to survive, trying to make it happen, but you need an ID like Alive to make it this long in a game and come back, I guess. Or Jethro Gibbs, one of the two. Yeah.
This is no Jethro Gibbs. I know Jethro Gibbs. Anyway.
That's true. That's Boxer's other ID.
Warp Gate goes down. The last base going to come under siege here for just a second.
Might finish, actually.
I hope so. There it is, GG. Congratulations to Stephano.
Yeah, huge round of applause here for Stephano. That guy played brilliantly. Amazing play from Millennium Stephano. But a big round of applause, too, for HuK. Man, to play a series like that.
Yeah.